What's up, boys? How are you guys doing
Hey,
today?
Hey.
Hey,
living the dream.
another day, another Wednesday, June 18th. Happy to be here with you guys, as always. What's going down?
Good to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we're just talking about the crypto markets.
Yeah, how are they looking today?
They've been better, but they've been worse.
Yeah, I guess crypto doesn't like World War III on the brink, eh?
Yeah, staring down the barrel.
I feel like
Yeah, I
we've
don't
been
know.
down this. I feel like we've been down this road before.
Yeah. I think we've been down this road a couple times. This is, I think, got a little bit more flavor to it. So
A little
we'll
more
see.
hair on the knuckles.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we get a nice black swan drop and a V-shaped recovery. So
Well, does Bitcoin like war or not?
I think
Do we have any
everything is
historicals on that data? Have we been? We've been to war in the last, 9/11 was pre-Bitcoin.
No,
Like
there hasn't
2000.
been like a legitimate war in Bitcoin's history that
It's COVID. You just map COVID as if like a nuke gets dropped or something. It's like
Not
COVID.
really, because they gave a big stimulus for that.
Yeah,
Well,
but what do you expect they're going to do if a nuke gets dropped, right? You know,
Yeah.
they're going to react. Of course, they're going to react.
Yeah.
COVID was like best possible one day to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, for sure. It was more than a day. There was a big period where everything was down real bad. But yeah, that week of like March 12th or 14th or whatever it was definitely, and yeah, you could just pick. I saw Bitcoin at like 3,500 or 3,800 or something, but it was a scary period for sure. I mean, the fallout of a nuke is a lot bigger than the fallout from COVID. So hopefully there are no nukes that get dropped. I think that's a game changer in a lot of ways, in the worst ways.
that would
But
be devastating.
yeah, it's certainly
I
devastating.
could imagine the use of nukes.
I don't think the U.S. is
like back in, when we dropped a nuke on Japan, like they were testing that thing out. They didn't know what that thing did. They had like theories, but it seems hard to think that, like, knowing the effects of a nuke, that could still be done in this day and age.
Yeah, and the nukes are 10 times. I was actually watching something on this some time ago, and the nukes that are in production now are 10 times bigger than those that were dropped back in that era. So I don't see that happening. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. I think people probably interpret war to be more similar to what's going on with like the Ukraine Russia thing, where it's just just perpetual violence and drone attacks and
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's most likely. And
but still, the
never been a war.
reality is that war is a stimulus, and so to the economy, and so the worst part of it would be a black swan drop, and it would liquidate everything, and then you would probably see over the course of a month and change a pretty healthy probably pump. But
They just print dollars until they destroy the value. You know, it's not stimulating any economy. It's just they're printing money. Just
right.
good for crypto because everybody runs away from currency and everything is crap. It's good for Bitcoin. It's good. Bitcoin is just a bet against humanity. So yeah, it's like normal.
Yeah,
a bet against humans being better than they have been in history.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of other positive things that have certainly happened. The Genius Act, went through the Senate and got voted through the Senate, bipartisan, which is pretty compelling. I think something like 18 Democrats joined the Republicans in passing that legislation, which was actually co-authored by Chuck Schumer. So that's really compelling and good news. I mean, it still has to go through the House to become law, but it's still providing regulation, the first, kind of landmark regulation for crypto.
I
And
thought it
you're
went through
also
the House.
seeing
Now it's going to the Senate, right?
other way around. But it's got some problems to get through the House, so we'll have to see what happens. But the biggest problem going through the House is the House has another piece of legislation that was crypto orientated. So the question is whether they combine them or they try and pass both. So, anyways, that's still pending, but still compelling. And then there's just a lot of a lot of other kind of, I would say, interesting things happening on the crypto side of things, but everything gets a nice pause button pressed when you got kind of these global superpowers warring with each other as they are right now. So who knows where that's going to shake out. On the pocket side, we always like to talk a little bit about like macroeconomics at the beginning of these conversations. And then, on the packet side, there's actually just a lot of exciting stuff happening, at least what we've been working on a daily basis. Again, very focused on the fast streaming side of things right now, and really putting a lot of effort into what's becoming Packet TV, which is very exciting. I think, looking at Packet TV in particular, it really is a lot of work to get the network to exist. Not just talking about the underlying infrastructure that's already been established for the Packet network, but to get the platform of Packet TV to become a functional thing. And that really is a convergence between content channels. I guess I should say it's really channels, but bringing content onto channels, and then everything that needs to happen from a fundraising standpoint to light up the actual platform, and there's a bunch of technological features to it, and then a bunch of operational features that are fundamental to that platform existing. And it really is going to take us a good amount of time to do it. But in the meantime, we've been putting a lot of focus on the channel side and the content that goes on these channels, and using our relationships with access to brands, YouTube stars who have libraries of content and things of this nature, that we can get into a distribution posture, in advance of the platform going live next year, and then everything we need to do to get the platform going live. So it is a pretty long tail effort, but I think what's been exciting about it is to get into some of the creative stuff, and then to be talking to people who are creating content every single day. Again, whether it be for YouTube or a brand on social media, and then looking to aggregate that content into a channel. So Josh and I have been doing a lot of creative stuff in that regard. And then a bunch of stuff, I guess you could say, on like the technology IP side of things, looking at, AI solutions. And there's a lot of really cool tech that's being targeted towards the CTV, side of things. And so, yeah, this is kind of what we've been doing on a day-to-day basis. It's, I guess you could say, not very interesting from a crypto standpoint, because crypto it's just been so thin in terms of how this market is so reactive to global events and the economy. And it's hard to put, you just have to, if you're trying to get a crypto project some notoriety, it's hard in this marketplace to have any assurance that you would want to deploy a lot of marketing effort around your thesis of your project, when the backdrop is, waiting to find out if the United States is going to enter into a war, waiting for, a rate cut from the Fed, which, by the way, we're supposed to hear some news today on rate cuts, which the word on the street is there won't be a rate cut from the U.S. standpoint. Like we said in our last chat, I guess the entire crypto market is now hinged on whether the Fed, changes interest rates, and the economic QE policy of the United States is driving the value of the crypto market. So yeah, it's just not a fun place to be, to be so impacted, for your work to be so influenced by macroeconomic policy, and that at any given moment, all your work can be flushed down the toilet with a black swan event. It's just like, that's crypto. It's just such a terrible.
That's leverage. That's leverage. I would say that's
life
crypto.
In the past decade.
Yeah.
2 decades.
Yeah. For crypto.
But I feel like you only lose if you sell, unless you're doing leverage. Then you get wiped out. So it's like, if you're an investor and you like going to the casino tables, then leverage is your flavor of choice. But if you're just trying to invest and you're in for the long game, then sitting in an asset that you believe will 2x or even 10x, then you buy it and you sit on it and you wait for that moment. Like, if you had been investing all through the bear market, and then right when the election happened, you were up 10x and you sold and you got your money and you kept your original investment in, you wouldn't care that the markets, have fluctuated so, significantly.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It's like, you got to figure out what kind of trader you are, what kind of investor you are. And if you're a degen and you want to go throw it on friggin' the roulette table, then leverage is your friend, and you're going to go risk it all for, the big gains. But if you're just, wanting to create some long-term wealth, then you just sit on it and you just don't mess with it for years and years.
Yeah. It's a very good point. I think the piece that people F up on with leverage is looking at it from a longer horizon. I think you just got to look, and I mean, certainly learned this the hard way as well. And I think any good leverage trader understands A, how to use stop losses, and B, how to probably have a short tenor trade, where you get your gains and you get out. You can leave it in for as long as you think it's worth it. But I think short tenor trading is always going to be your friend in crypto. Now, is there the potential that you miss that last little, chunk of a pump? For sure. It's nearly impossible to catch the bottom and catch the top. But with leverage, you kind of don't need to catch the top, because you're putting an X multiplier of 5, 10, 20X on it. It's like, you're just getting the gain. If you're on a naked trade, then you don't have as much risk anyways. Of you're not going to get liquidated if you miss the top and have to go for another roundabout waiting for it to find a top again. But Bitcoin's been interesting. I don't know what the number is, but it's certainly been over 100,000 now for probably heading towards 2 months, which is pretty impressive.
Definitely.
Sustaining power.
I feel like people just saw what was happening to the it's so funny because, like, you think of crypto as like a global type of exchange of finances, but like I feel like it's all based on the US markets, and like people see what's happening in the United States, and then they make their decision, and then globally people make their decisions on their finances. And it just kind of boggles my mind, specifically with crypto. It's just boggles my mind that when the US is in turmoil, that the finance markets are feeling that as well. It just it doesn't make sense, but I mean, I guess it does, because United States is a superpower, but it's like, what about what happens in like China and like other superpowers? Why don't the
I feel
market?
like-
China already banned it, so
I feel like China isn't. I think it's whoever's being the loudest, because I do remember that China banned crypto, and that was very impactful to Bitcoin, and that actually even made it run. I forget the exact which cycle it was, but China was impactful to one of these cycles of what made it run and made it crash, and
yeah,
they were being very disruptive to the
like a
currency.
decade ago. But yeah,
Yeah, but they were impactful because they were big and loud and making big moves, and they've been pretty quiet over there, just building their empire, and kind of stayed out of everything. They're definitely doing stuff. They're just not being as loud as the US is. And so whenever, a superpower is in the, is making noise, the markets are going to react to that.
yeah, I think you're right. I think China, there was a lot going on with mining Bitcoin for a long period of time, and then they made a very serious push to stop that, and that was very impactful to the market for sure. So
Yeah, it's well, I guess we just have to, just hold on tight, see what happens.
But yeah, for sure. That I think we'll definitely have to hold on tight, see what happens. Josh, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of updates with the website and what's been happening with that? I know you've been leading the charge there.
I can. I'm actually chatting with our developer who is needing access, but I can do a little show and tell, I guess.
Show it and tell us. Are you showing and telling, bro?
I'm working on it. Hang tight there. Old pal. You see it?
I see it.
Cool. Yeah. So this is kind of the first iteration of it, and people are able to join the waiting list to get access. Given a little bit about our we've partnered with a group called Matter Collective, who's they generated 17 billion views last year, have over 400 channels in the network, and we're able to bring all that content over to Packet TV. And we've been developing the Magic Controller, which is our patent pending technology that is helping people discover content. So you will have your made for you channels on the platform. And this uses AI and machine learning to curate channels based on your viewing habits and preferences. And really just swapping out different content within the various channels to make your channel. And then, we have the Creator Hub, and which we've shown before, and you can access all that stuff up here. Also the free domains. And I'm not going to get into the team quite yet, but we've been assembling a pretty massive team of people to participate in this, and yeah, it's been cool. So we've just been working with a company start programming channels, which we're already starting to do, and put these deals together to program these various channels, and it's been a pretty cool creative experience. Just taking ideas and taking libraries of content and reworking them, reformatting them for television. So there's a huge opportunity here to create channels of content and to really improve the viewing experience for audience. And then we'll be using blockchain for revenue transparency or data transparency and real-time revenue, paying out creators and people in real time for for their content. So that's kind of the mandate here, and what gets exciting about just helping put another lane on the freeway of content, but making it so that discovering new stuff and not having to spend so much time flipping through channels, making that a lot easier for people.
Yeah. I always have such a hard time trying to find stuff, especially like on Netflix and things like that, like not knowing what I get. There is a recommendation, but it's like, is it going to be good, or, but having something more specifically curated is exciting.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are paying attention to this, vertical, and it seems like everything's kind of moving in this direction. So we're not the first people to think about it, but I really believe our implementation is unique, and the way in which we approaching this is unique, and also our strategy on channel creation and curation it's not fully unique, but there's a small percentage of people doing it in this way, and I think that has already proven to be pretty successful for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Did you talk about what the announcement was today with Tubi and
No,
Kickstarter?
no, you can talk about it.
Yeah, I can mention it. I mean, just in that theme, which is helping creators, figure out how to A, raise money, and B, get distribution. There's a lot of opportunity there. It's not really the opportunity that we can take full advantage of yet, because the brand and platform of what Packet TV and what the Creator Hub and Packet Hub are capable of isn't fully fleshed out yet. I mean, people could use it for these use cases. But I think that creators really need Rails. It's a weird thing to say, because creators are very, very creators that are passionate about, let's say, making a TV show or making a movie, are going to do whatever it takes to get it done. They're going to raise money from friends and family. They're going to go through the motions of creating a movie or a TV show or whatever, YouTube channel or YouTube series that they're trying to create. They're going to get that done. The problem is, cream rises to the top. So you'll see the high quality creators that are going to be getting their films in film festivals or getting distribution from major studios before the film is even filmed. Or you'll see, YouTubers that are building successful YouTube channels. Like, they're doing that without Rails, so to speak. They're just getting it done and doing a good job at it. But we also find that a lot of people who do get their content created get, and I hate even calling it lazy, because it's not like they're like actually lazy. I just think there's a huge amount of fatigue, and there's a last push required to get your product into, a healthy distribution situation, which requires good marketing. And, it's almost like a whole new effort, as involved as the effort that it took to get the content made in the first place. And I think people get so fatigued once they've been working on a project for a couple of years that, they just never make that push. So they're ultimately looking for a distributor to come along, do all the work for them and distribute the content and make it famous, make it successful, get their money back to their investors and for them to make a lot of profit. That part of the story is like very, very, very thin. It's comparable to launching a cryptocurrency and having it be successful. Like anybody can launch a cryptocurrency, but having it be successful is hard. And so there's that same plight, that same problem that exists with creators creating content. And so from the standpoint of what the Packet Hub and the Creator Hub and what Packet TV is capable of, it's going to put the emphasis on the creator to bring their content to the table, and the best stuff is going to get picked up and distributed. And for the people that want to do it themselves, that believe in themselves and want to get their content into a distribution posture, they'll be able to use the Creator Hub to the extent that they put that effort in. And initially it'll always be a hard push because, like I said, it's hard to get people activated. They're waiting for someone to fish them out of the ocean and make them famous, and they're not necessarily willing to put in all that work themselves. In addition, they are overly reliant on the existing platforms, which is like, hey, we want to just get on Apple, iTunes, or hey, we just want to get like onto Amazon. But now you're just one of 20,000 movies on Amazon, and good luck anybody discovering your content. So that's unfortunately still the way that people are thinking about it. But from our standpoint, yeah, we're excited to have this platform be created, and that'll help people be onboarded. On the Tubi side, Tubi is like one of the big fast platforms, one of the biggest, and we actually read an article, Josh sent it to me maybe like 2 weeks ago, about how they've been really thinking about creators and providing the Tubi platform offering the Tubi platform as a distribution platform that's open to creators. And they just announced, I guess today, Josh shared with me a post on LinkedIn that Tubi partnered with Kickstarter to help content creators get financing to make content and then earn automatic distribution through Tubi. So that's compelling.
Yeah.
Does the Tubi distribution generate enough revenue to pay back all the investors who put their money in on Kickstarter? I don't know. I mean, that's what I think will be most exciting to follow that announcement, is to get a good understanding of how much money comes off of Tubi for independent content creators. Because it's like, hey, you went and raised $1 million to make your movie on Kickstarter, and you got guaranteed distribution on Tubi, and we're going to pay you $5,000 to put it on Tubi. It's like, where are we going to get the other $995,000 in revenue so our investors make their money back? I don't know. I don't know if you can make $1 million on Tubi. So that's,
I don't know either.
Question.
I think what gets me excited about what we're doing, though, is just repurposing and reformatting libraries of content. There's so much content out there, and there's so much premium content out there, and taking these pools of libraries and making them accessible, making them entertaining, feel fresh and new, and doing that kind of programming. I think there's a huge opportunity. There's so much content that millions and millions of people have never seen. And even if they have millions and millions of views on them, and taking that and making them more mainstream and getting creative that way, I think there's a lot of opportunity to just take these, and I think it's a different kind of creator than the people like you mentioned who are fatigued and, spent 3 years making their one movie, and now they need to figure out how to monetize their one movie, and they got a $5 to $20 million nut they got to crack to break even. and it's a steep hill to climb, but there's incredible creators who have a treasure trove of content. We've been having these conversations and working to ingest those libraries to repurpose for new programming and making them feel fresh and new, and get broad distribution on to people's television, as opposed to people watching those things on their phones. So that's been a cool process, and we're starting to really get creative on the different formats and different shows and the different channels and the different mandates that we have to build out these channels. And so that's just been really fun.
Yeah, and the other piece of it is using the infrastructure of the packet network. I think that's the other piece of this story that's exciting, but it's not a small part of the story, because the infrastructure, the networking infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure, and ultimately the CDN infrastructure are all going to be fundamental to this network existing and functioning properly. Obviously, the packet network wasn't designed to be a global CDN. That's not what's set up. But I believe there are some core use cases that should be compelling and things that can be done utilizing the packet network. And so I am very intrigued to see how the intersection between the packet network and packet TV will show up in due course. And I also think as the marketing for packet TV starts to begin, let's say probably more in the beginning of next year, end of this year, contingent on the fundraising side of things. But yeah, it should bring more awareness to the packet network and the opportunity to participate there. So I still believe there's a strong play on the crypto, and I also just the backdrop of what's happening in the crypto, not just the crypto market, but just generally how crypto is emerging as a really strong use case, and we're going to see more adoption on the banking side, on the stablecoin side. I think it's a guarantee that we're going to see better on-ramp and off-ramps for crypto. I mean, even the fact that Binance US just lit up their USD on-ramp again, after everyone thought everyone was pulling their money off of Binance because they thought Binance was about to go under. Binance US, I should say. And the indictment, I mean, CZ actually did some jail time. So, it's a whole different era now. I was just hearing the other day, we got Tron, who's looking to do a reverse merger, right? You got big crypto projects that are looking to follow in the footsteps of MicroStrategy for Bitcoin. Altcoins that are doing this, putting together huge consortiums of cash to buy their token on the public market.
Isn't the Tron deal it's funny too, and Eric Trump is on the board of Tron, and I saw him come out saying, "I have nothing to do with this." It's like,
I know there was an article in either Decrypt or one of the crypto blogs,
and then Trump even wrote that the founder of Tron was a great innovator.
Yeah, great innovator also gave $75 million to World Liberty Financial. Yeah. It's the chronology. I mean, that kid, Justin Sun, you just gotta give the guy the nod. I mean, the kid is so dialed in. He was.
How old is he?
He can't be older than his at least early 30s, but I think he's younger. I could be wrong on that. You could look it up. But he invested $75 million into World Liberty Financial and to get a board seat. That was either right before Trump got inaugurated or right after. Within a month, the SEC, a month or two max, the SEC canceled the investigation into Tron. I mean, obviously, that's just 100% coincidence. and then now, and then Eric Trump's sitting on the the board now, and they're going into the public markets to raise money to do a reverse merger vehicle for Tron. Again, I think it's very akin to the MicroStrategy initiative, but I haven't looked too far into it. But nevertheless, a lot of synergies, and I think there's even another touch point between the Trump organization and things that are happening with Justin Sun, and in particular. Oh, and Justin Sun is I think he is the largest holder of Trump token.
He is, yeah.
So just obviously total coincidences there. But
no corruption at all.
No grift whatsoever.
The fact that the president of the United States even has a crypto token named after him.
Yeah, normal, dude.
It's normal.
Normal.
Every president from here on out will have a crypto token named after him, I guess. Well, whether they like it or not.
It's okay as long as it's done before they're inaugurated.
Yeah, even if that's the night before,
They'll at least have it on Pump Fund.
Yeah. Well, Pump Fund, you saw what happens going on with Pump Fund. Did you guys see what's happening with Pump Fund?
Not specifically this week.
Oh, I thought you said that.
Why? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, the worst headline possible. Every single person involved with Pump Fund X account just got nuked.
Wait, what happened? Every person who's involved, like the owners or the
yeah, and it looks like
nuked mean
like dark, like they all got kicked off of X, and I think Pump Fund did as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it looks like they're looking at. I'm not sure why it's being targeted so heavily, but the articles are out there, so
And what does X have to do with anything? So just because their account got pulled off of X, so what does that even mean?
Yeah. I mean, just if you go look at I'll just pull up. I was just like briefly looking at the news. So it says, so here's on Decrypt. It says the X accounts of Solana-based meme coin launchpad Pump Fund was suspended on Monday, along with a host of other crypto accounts removed from the platform without explanation. The account now shows the standard message that X suspends accounts which violate the X rules, but no further details were provided. Other affected accounts include trading tools such as BullX, GMGN, as well as the AI agent platform Eliza OS. Some founders and affiliated team members were also impacted, including the Pump Fund co-founders. And then BullX claimed via Discord that its account has been mass reported. It was previously under scrutiny after a viral post claimed it was shuddering. BullX said the claims were spread by certain individuals with ulterior motives. So anyways, but the other piece about Pump Fund is just like no one knows why Pump Fund's been specifically targeted, why the Pump Fund founder had his X account suspended. So
it just feels a little fishy that X is where they're getting targeted. Like, how does X have anything to like? It's not going to deter for people from using Pump Fund. It's not going to deter the amount of money that Pump Fund makes on a daily basis from scams and shit coins launching.
Yeah. No.
And there's other there's like Launchpad. There's so many other types of like Pump Fund platforms.
Yeah.
Obviously Pump Fund's the biggest, but I don't understand the logic behind, like BullX. Yeah. Like, it's like, why it doesn't, what's the other one? Trojan. Like what difference is BullX than Trojan? There's like no difference other than.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. But, I think that, the question is, and we saw a lot of crazy stuff happen with Pump Fund. If you remember, they were doing that live stuff and people were like threatening to commit suicide if their coin didn't pump. And yeah, it was just people are doing all this wild stuff. Like, that one guy was like, I'm gonna kill like one of his goldfish every like hour unless people buy it and they hit certain market caps. It's just like people are crazy, so they end up having to remove the live stream component of Pump Fund. That happened. But yeah, I don't know where it's going. I don't know where, we know that there's something like thousands and thousands of new tokens created every single day, right? So I just don't know I don't know where that ends up. It seems like it's impossible to get rid of it. If Pump Fund goes down, just someone else is going to come in and fill the void, right? So it's, neither here nor there. But back to kind of what's happening from a larger standpoint, I think, top 100 coins are looking at the strategies that have been implemented around ETFs. We know that there's been a lot of action, especially for top 10 cryptos around ETFs like Solana, XRP, Ethereum. So, and I'm sure some of the other top coins as well. And then, yeah, we've just been hearing, even some like alts that are just like top 100, even top 200 have been using public market strategies, or at least talking about using public market strategies for raising capital. And, that lend themselves to some of the top, the top strategies for growth. Obviously you need capital to grow. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. I'd love to see, we can all, and we've said this time and time again, what's possible with Packet, with the marketing and investment capital. You could see a green candle, go up to a penny with probably less than $2 million worth of buys, right? Which isn't even a lot of money, So it's just, there's always that potential that somebody comes in and takes a healthy position, and the game begins at that point. So our goal right now has just been doing everything we can to substantiate the message, the thesis, the utility, and and then reactivate the community and grow the community, I should say, with regards to this next set of initiatives. So we were talking about it this week, just updates that are required to the website to coincide with where everything's heading in terms of use of the network and Packet TV, because none of that's really represented even on the website right now. And then, yeah, just continued growth in terms of nodes and substantiating of the network. Caleb, have you given any thought just in the back of your mind about use cases for the Packet network as it relates to Packet TV? Like, what's maybe the low-hanging fruit on use cases that you would see? Because like CDN is not going to be the strongest use, obviously. VPN is like how it was developed, but
for the like CJDNS.
Yeah, CJDNS, Packet network. Yeah, just like what are
the coin is different. I mean, if it's about the coin, then that's a different question.
No, I'm talking about just the network, not just the coin.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously we've talked about. I think in specifics, we've talked about the Packet, domain, the domain name system, Packet DNS. So it's like that. We know how that integrates, and I think that's an exciting, strong use case as well. That I'm actually really eager to incorporate Packet Hub, Creator Hub, and Packet.
Well, there's something that it's not well supported in CJDNS. It's not well supported on the internet either, but it would be multicast. So you could imagine the Packet network in the future supporting multicast, which is necessary if you want to, send a TV signal out to a bunch of people at the same time without using per se a CDN. It's kind of a CDN, but it's not a CDN in the sense that you have a whole bunch of servers and they're sitting there with data on their hard drive and everybody comes to the server and says, hey, give me a video, and they send the video. Instead, you'd have a bunch of like routers, and there's one server emitting the video, and then those routers are receiving each packet of data and then forwarding that packet to multiple other routers who are receiving it and forwarding it to multiple other, and then finally to the end viewers of that content. So that could be a realistic use case.
Yeah, it's compelling. I was thinking around, what becomes possible to, and we've talked about this a bunch, but to use Packet as a beacon to link together a lot of different actual commodity CDNs in the crypto space, because there are a bunch of CDN projects specifically in crypto. Some of them are not video orientated, like, Filecoin, for instance, not video orientated. That's not what it's focused on. Saturn, maybe more so on the video side, but yeah, we just, there's something, Theta token, in the Theta network is definitely focused on CDN. So it's like, how can we, what are the ways to kind of butt up against some of these CDN projects and create a coalition of how, decentralized infrastructure can support a centralized utility network or platform, I should say, like Packet TV. So that's just obviously at the forefront. It's like you have all this infrastructure, you have all this effort, you have all this money, you have all this community that's designated within the crypto space. And I get it. You could say, well, everyone just did that to, make the token worth something. But like also people have really wanted the thesis of the project to become a reality. So the big question is, how do we utilize that infrastructure for a utility story? And that's why I put it out there. And I think, you could argue maybe that's even one of the big issues with, with the Packet network. It was always a solution looking for a problem, and we've just continuously been building. And for our standpoint, I should say, the main thesis of why we, at least from my standpoint, got interested in lighting up and all these years building the Packet network was around data transparency and revenue transparency for transactions. So the payments solution is still embedded in our story. Being able to pay for content, being able to have transparency, being able to use a token for that. It's still something that I still believe is valuable, and still something that we want to see integrated into the platform, the eventual platform of Packet TV, being able to pay for content using Packet. So that's there, and that we know that crypto does that well. The blockchain use case for payments is strongest of anything. But yeah, I'm always curious on the networking side as well, just seeing if there's use case for the actual network itself, what it's capable of, the functionality. And of course with Packet's Packet's DNS system, that capability, connecting that with payments, is also there for the taking. It's just figuring out how we align all these elements to get that story to become a reality based on what's built today and what could be built in the future.
Indeed. Cool, man. Well, I think we can probably put a pin in it there.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call. Well, exciting things on the horizon, boys and girls, and you just gotta stay tuned. If anyone has questions, we're here every week. Feel free to jump in the Discord, Telegram, and yeah, we're gonna be available to you. And yeah, we're just gonna keep knocking on doors and working on things in the back end and try to get this thing to where we want it to be. Any final words, boys?
Yeah, just stay tuned. Lots of stuff coming down the pipeline. So we'll be making some announcements soon. But yeah, hold on to your tushies. Let's go.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Please like, retweet, share, share with your friends, everything that's going on. Just share it with your communities. Let's push this far and wide, and we appreciate you all. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Cool.
All right, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Later.
to check some info